Е. Йоу. Всем привет. Черт. Мне надо сделать чай. Блин. А то скучно так. Ля-ля-ля-ля-ля. Так, а вот и я. Чьючек готов, значит уже можно играть. Привет, Максим. Ох, как давно я не играл в Stanley Parable. Я, наверное, последний раз, когда играл, это был, наверное, 2015-16 год где-то. Примерно. Всем привет. Так, давайте сначала я настрою этот самый... Кстати говоря, да. В смысле уже действует вакцина? Ты о чем? Да, если кому интересно, я сегодня сделал вакцину от COVID-19, спутник Ви, все дела. Не по моей воле, потому что меня кое-куда не пускают, поэтому мне пришлось. Ну ладно, фиг с ним уже. Вроде она прошла проверку временем. Я все равно хотел это рано или поздно сделать. Так, не понял, где игра? А вот игра. Захват. И... Опа. Опа. А вот и все, а вот она работает. Русский. Подтвердить. Вы уже играли? А вот интересно, что если нажму нет? Будет какая-то обучалка? Или типа купите оригинальную игру и пройдите ее? Вот мне просто интересно, что вот... Ну ладно, я скажу честно, да, я играл. Но я не помню полноценно. Вот так. Ваше текущее время. А зачем? АМ, подожди, у меня не АМ сейчас. У меня ПМ. У меня сейчас 3 часа 25 минут. Вот так вроде у меня сейчас, да? А зачем? Окей. Привет. Ох, ядрить. Я точно помню, что эта игра была сделана на движке Source. А эту ее вроде переделали, вернее, портировали на Unity вроде как. Аудио, видео. Да, я полный экран. А что, не поменяться вообще? Так, вперед, прыжок, space. Да, ладно, не прыжок добавили. Интересно, ходьба одной рукой. А что за внешний вид? Размер субтитров. Давай выключим. А как там раньше субтитры были? Подожди. Не помню. Ну такая синяя, ну такая полностью черная неудобно. Может вообще выключить. Жалко, что здесь, конечно, нет русского перевода, как в оригинальной. Кстати, да, про горло я тебя понимаю. Я тоже, когда у меня горло болит, когда я болею, нужно пшикать. Оно такое невкусное очень. Ну, хотя, конечно, смотря что ты пшикаешь. Так, авторы выйти на рабочий стол. Погнали. Загрузка такая же осталась.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what...
А почему здесь Тимати?
how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soulless, Stanley relished
все, вспомнил, да. Тартум Верде.
as though he had been made
А, кстати, а я не знаю, что я пшикал.
and Stanley was happy.
Я забыл.
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change
Прошу
Stanley.
прощения.
Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Что вы сделали со звуками ходьбы? Он так быстро перемещается, а звук топота не такой какой-то. Прыгать нельзя. Сука. Так, секундочку. А здесь можно поменять сенсу? Упрощенное управление? А как поменять сенсу к этой мышке? Присесть. Найс, а зачем здесь написано прыжок, если прыжок нету? Что это такое? А, вот чувствительность мыши. Это что такое? О, так лучше. Ну-ка, самое первое попробуем.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Это он про загрузку говорил? Ладно. Я точно помню, что эта игра создавалась изначально на Сурсе. Она вроде... Оригинальная часть она на Сурсе, а вот это Ультра Делюкс. Она на Unity.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Жалко, конечно, что они ушли с Сурса. Могли бы этот Stanley Parable Ультра Делюкс сделать сразу на втором Сурсе. Интересно, как они успевают все это портировать? GTA-шку портировали, это Definitive Edition на Unreal с рендервейра. Эту игру перенесли с Сурса на Unity. Как они это делают? Это, наверное, такая большая работа, что прям капец. Ну да, теперь, конечно, вот эти карты не портируешь ни в какую игру. Ну, там, в Гаррис моде на эту карту не зайдешь. Не помню, зачем это нужно делать. Но что-то будет, если ты включишь все эти компы.
When When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Как пойдем по сюжету или будем идти против? Решаем. Так, кто-нибудь еще изволит высказаться? Может, Макзем? Если он все еще здесь на стриме. Так, тогда сейчас, секундочку. Вот так вот. Ну, против так, против.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just as...
Не, все же фигня идея. Сейчас я верну обратно. Вот так вот.
Spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Да, я могу здесь посидеть, постоять, подождать. Он тут приседает быстрее, чем в игре оригинальной.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Ну, хотя бы и звук того, что он приседает, что не было в оригинале.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left. Stanley sat around waiting for more dialogue, but when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Подождем еще. Вдруг тут есть новые фразы.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Пойдем по классике.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
О, именно графона не улучшили, это видно.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Тут будут отсылки на халву.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Red door.
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
Кто-то прошел игру за 2 секунды. Я не играю в эту игру 7 часов уже, вы чё? Там была... Почему бы не спросить помощи у друзей? Ошибка, у вас нет друзей. Дохлая крыса. Это тот, кто перед вами. За 3 часа. Да, конечно. 3 часа, да-да-да. Как пройти игру за 2 секунды?
Now, would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
Лол. Сколько вот играть надо? Я не помню. Ну нахрен вас.
You heartless bastard. Did you
Там
do
ты
it
без
because you
сердечки.
hate
Я не собираюсь в это
babies or
4 часа
purely to
играть.
spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
Oh.
Ah, fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our
Чё?
backstory? What is our
Это не то,
motivation?
что я... Это что?
Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted
это
erotic
чё?
purpose.
Я только впервые вижу, там должен был бы
Yes,
быть
that
Майнкрафт
must be
вроде
it.
бы.
What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Ага. А звук двери из Майнкрафта, молодцы. Firewatch. Я в такую вроде не играл. Не, я не играл в такую. Я смотрю, какая-то мультяшная графика. Они только из-за вот этого перешли на Unity или чё? Так из-за одной пасхалки? Или Unity перспективнее, чем Source? Так, никто вроде ничего не тыкается. Было бы вообще, конечно, забавно, что это... Попали бы в мир какой-нибудь... какого-нибудь этого, не знаю, Роблокса. А, даже так. Всем привет!
Oh no. No, it can't be.
Блин, прикольно. Кайф.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call.
Ты чё?
Really wandered off into that
Э,
thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay.
Да ни
I'm
хрена,
going to get
ты
us out of
огородил
here.
меня.
Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with
Со
nice,
стенами.
big, insurmountable walls.
Нет. Сейчас порта, что ли, будет?
Okay. I think this will be just the thing.
Что?
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Здесь можно заблудиться только в том случае, что это огромное все.
Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together? Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Ни хрена себе мячик. Ни хрена. Мы за кого играем? Давай забью
Are you
синим.
doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes. Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it?
А, смотри, так...
Stanley, I'm like a child in a
подожди,
confectionery
ничего
shop.
меняется,
I
что
simply
ли?
have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls.
Жесть. А, они меняют свой цвет. А нахрена столько мечей-то? Что происходит?
Are you enjoying this, Stanley? Are you having fun?
Да,
Is this
зашибись.
a real video
Да,
game?
оставь меня здесь.
Well, I sure hope you're having a good time because guess what? It's over.
Я так и думал.
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley.
он бегает.
Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much, but who knows? You're an inventive kid, you'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Ты чё? Ты чё, охренел? Ты как посмел так со мной обращаться? Хотя бы мячики бы оставил. Нет, даже мячики не оставил. А что за руки лига? Это что такое? Кажется, что-то вспомнил. Сейчас я по-быстрому, может, загуглю. Ну-ка. Что-то такое помню. Да. Все, да, вспомнил. Все, понял. Я в нее ни разу не играл, кстати, надо попробовать. Я так понимаю, что нам остается только вот прыгнуть вот сюда, в эту пустоту. Bon voyage.
Hold on. What are you doing?
Ты куда собрался? Сам виноват? Ты меня бросил?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
Сам виноват. Короче, больше никакого портала, никакого Майнкрафта. По-моему, здесь пропасть. Ага. Это у нас, короче, Стэнли, когда он только разрабатывался. А именно еще как мод для халфы. Раньше реально Стэнли это был просто мод для халвы, и все. Ни хрена не вижу вообще. Не, ну это не смешно. А яркость нельзя поменять? Консоли здесь тоже нету. То есть попасть в ту комнату со серьезным столом ты сейчас хрен сможешь, либо я не знаю, как тут открыть консоль. Я здесь появился. Оу. Это же те самые две двери. Так, у нас же там... О, как я ненавижу это место. Вернее, как сказать, ненавижу такие подобные места. Терпеть не могу. Вот когда в конце коридора стоишь, и вот эта лампа такая одиночная здесь стоит. Горит. Так, это комната Стэнли. Оп.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice, and if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Ты загрузку ждешь? Он ждал загрузку. Hello.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
Он это говорил? По-моему, была другая фраза в этой комнате.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone... But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Попробуем пойти в синюю дверь.
Really, I'm not.
Ой, в синюю, в
I
красную.
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Не это совсем хотел. Эй, блин, я не это совсем хотел.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Так ощущение, как будто здесь остались
The lounge
баги.
was sublime, a work of art.
У него фразы
What was it
меняются.
about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace, its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
У него фразы меняются.
Yes, really
Это уже
worth
было.
it being here in the room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone... Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Я попробую.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Я сначала попробовал 2 раза пройти в
Perhaps you
синее.
misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop.
Чего?
We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
А. Это ведь, скорее всего, все одно и то же, да? Просто здесь тут есть невидимые порталы, которые я не замечаю. Куда пойти бы? Пойди сюда, хрен с ним. Так.
What do we want? What are we looking for?
Думаю, у меня получится.
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
А чего ты счастлив-то? От летающих синих шаров? Здесь было очень много бойфрендов. Из ФНФ. А, ну так, кстати, реально красиво. Ну чё, ты реально готов здесь сидеть всю жизнь только потому, что тут... Ты чувствуешь себя счастливым? Как по мне, это бред какой-то. Это красиво, я ничего не говорю, но... Можно просто посидеть, посмотреть и уйти. Тут звезд нету. Тут как какой-то невидимый черный шар. На это залиптать можно реально. Расслабляет. Я бы посмотрел на это все в виртуальной реальности. Holy shit. Вау. Так, ну, думаю, все, позалипали, теперь можно дальше рушить его жизнь.
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
На себе ламинальное пространство. Ну, сейчас будем его, короче, мучить.
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Но я постоял, позалипал, все.
No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. Are you are going to stay here, aren't you?
Нет.
You heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
Ну, ты ничего не сказал в свою защиту, тогда я пошел. Здесь равно заняться нечем.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Давайте опять над ним поиздеваемся. А нихрена я замедлился.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Плохо рассуждаешь.
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Типа, ну, скинулся, и остался жив и пошел сидеть в этой комнате. Зашибись, кстати, идея. Так, он ничего не сказал, значит, все, я пошел.
No. No, no. What are you doing? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Не знаю. Какие-нибудь. Уи.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
Да, сейчас сделаю, подожди. В оригинальной...
Perhaps you can. Perhaps you finally see what I'm talking about.
В оригинальной игре у тебя скорость не понижалась.
I know you'll see that we can't be happy if we leave this place. You can see that, can't you?
Нет, у тебя... Тебе скучно. Красиво, но скучно.
No, perhaps not.
Ладно.
My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it?
Да нет, я могу просто сюда нажать и все.
You were literally willing to
Я просто тебя мучаю.
kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading
У тебя скучно.
the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Просто его вот этот голос грустный.
Do you actually want to stay alive? Or are you just teasing me?
Он, наверное, сам догадывается, что я просто дразню.
I wanted us to be happy here, Stanley. I really did. I still thought that was possible.
Почему ты считаешь, что вот это, не пойми какое место, какая-то площадка вертолетная с вот этими хренями сделает меня счастливым? Чтобы меня сделать счастливым, мне нужен пентхаус нормальный. С бассейном и мощным компьютером. Вот это меня сделает счастливым. Так что да, я пошел суициднуть. В игре. В игре. В реальной жизни я это осуждаю полностью. Жить надо. Преодолевать цели и препятствия. Достиг какой-то цели? Создавай новую.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it?
Его голос, конечно. Да. Сорян, чувак. А зачем я время ставил, интересно?
All of his co-workers were... Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
427, да. Я помню, как-то можно было здесь взобраться. Не помню только как именно, но как-то можно было... О! Да, я вот так вот в окно залезть. Но это потом будет. Вроде все на месте. Новый контент? Чего?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Да. Новый контент. Так, о чем мы... Какая-то поездка по черной мезе. Только по офисам Стэнли.
Thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Вряд ли.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Я снимаю контент. Стена. Осталось.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Если нет.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
То есть в какой-то веке здесь можно попрыгать? И чё? 0 прыжков. Красненькая. Это не серьезно так рофлит, типа, да? Типа, вот там новый контент, короче. Прыжки, блин. Не могу. Лол. Это, конечно, не рофлит над тем, что в обычной игре нельзя прыгать, а теперь можно. Только зачем? Или мне дают, или мне дадут возможность прыгать везде.
I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content,
Да это
then I
рофл.
could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes, I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Главное, чтобы этот мост не оборвался.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You
Спасибо, что поиграли в новый
see,
контент.
Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other
О, вот это вот он, конечно, правду глаголит.
than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend...
А что такое достижение реально есть? Ну-ка, сейчас подождите секундочку. Достижение. Сейчас посмотрим. Реально, тестовое достижение, не трогать. Реально такое есть. Жесть.
to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Ты мне выбор не даешь даже. Вы, блядь, игру сломали. А, нет, я подумал, это текстуры. Какого хрена здесь мой офис находится? Иронично.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Не хочу пока что, потом схожу как-нибудь, когда появится возможность.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Эх.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle. Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Зря ты не пошел, наверное.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
Ладно, я
years
пойдем
ago.
дальше все равно.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for... This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Я всегда хотел туда попасть. Hello?
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach...
Так, и чё? А,
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife?
Нет,
They want to
я так
commit their
знал.
life to you. I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Зараза.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Доброе утро, сотрудник 427. Нажмите К на своем клавиатура. Ложка, пить, дорожка, стол. Какая-то дорожка еще. К.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
А я сегодня не буду. Просто постою так вот. Зато буду пока что соцсети чекну. Просто как эксперимент. Полагаю, ничего.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Чего ждем? Ну, он сказал, типа, ну, типа, когда появится подсказка о том, чтобы нажать, не нажимай ее. Но я не нажимаю. Вот, провожу эксперимент. Попытаюсь несколько минут не нажимать. Если он ничего не скажет, он, получается, это, наебал. Вот и жду. А вдруг это специально в игре сделано, и типа, он что-нибудь, все же что-нибудь скажет. Я просто подожду несколько минут. Если ничего не будет сидеть, тогда я нажму. Ну, наебал.
You see? Can he just not hear me?
Да,
How can I
да,
tell
да,
him in a way
конечно,
that
я
he'll
стоял
understand
ждал.
that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself. How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Пошел ты.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a
Ни хрена
button.
себе.
And I tried.
Ни хрена себе. Жесть. Сейчас мы... О. Да хорошо, хорошо, сейчас
Come
залезу.
over here, in the vent. I want to show you something.
Зашибись. И чё?
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a
О,
look.
выглядит красиво.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Мило.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something.
Сука, блядь, и ведь он прав.
Oh, the waste.
Старый Steam. Я хочу плакать. Все прям так, например, именно 2013 вообще жесть. Две тысячи тринадцатый. Седьмая винда. Это либо разработчики реально уже начинают ностальгировать о первом релизе, либо я хрен знает. 2014. Эх. Это их первый доллар? О, демо. Нифига, такое достижение есть. Не играйте 5 лет. Достижение, которое нельзя получить.
Je suis dans la mémorisation, c'est sur l'abri de l'eau.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
10 лет. Это, то есть, это самое, как его, это получается, это нужно зайти в эту игру в 2032. Тогда еще один какой-то новый ремейк выйдет, где нужно заходить еще плюс 20 лет. О-о-о-о. Вот. Та самая... О. Там еще должен быть где-то портал. Сейчас же, наверное, получается, могу выполнить это достижение, если сейчас зайду в обычную игру. Именно в оригинальную. О, вот портал, кстати. А мне сюда? Remember... Что-то звуки. Ай. Человек года. О. Это ж Хаммер. The end is never. Лол. У тебя велик из халвы. Вроде бы.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game.
Кто-то не совсем согласен. Есть нормальные ремейки. Да и вроде этот Stanley Parable тоже еще один ремейк, это тоже неплохо.
Memories.
Да, вот та самая комната серьезная. Когда ты в консоль вводил этот самый SVCheats. Типа читы нельзя было вводить. Если ты откроешь каким-то образом консоль и ведешь туда эту команду, то все. Секундочку. Там же была концовка, где куда нужно было говорить в голосовой. Они ее обновили?
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Та самая хрень, когда ты идешь вниз, и потом у тебя начинаются глюканы, и комнаты повторяются. Ух, ядрить. Это, так понимаю, это плохая часть воспоминаний.
Oh, no. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Steam Reviews.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Это все больше похоже на какую-то свалку. Свалка отзывов, я так понял. Блин, а стиль игры-то поменялся, стал какой-то более мультяшный, что ли. Кажется, старый геймдизайнер какой-то, хотя нет. Вообще хрен знает. Немножко отдает мультяшностью. Жесть. Это рекомендуется.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
У тебя биполярочка началась, да?
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Нифига себе.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, until 245. Got the logic of elimination working backwards. The deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years. Until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the choices, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly, and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made in fact make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards manifesto, but now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise.
Он теперь будет так повторять до тех пор, пока я снова не перемотаю, да?
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
Но,
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise.
судя по его интонации, это, ну, оно повторяется реально.
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place.
Можно.
I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to
Так
edit
вроде
one's
можно
review, merely
как
because of
его
this very
редактировать свои отзывы в Тиме можно,
situation.
вроде бы.
Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality. How else to describe the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe? Such a revolutionary step forward in the lineage of one of the most beloved video game properties of all time. The additions and changes made to this expansion will surely resonate in the annals of the history of all media ever made. It is perhaps true to say that no mistakes are forever etched in stone, for the stone into which the Stanley Parable was carved has itself been transmuted, offering a message of hope to those who have ever erred in their judgment. You are not beyond redemption. You may change, and you may become more, so much more than you were before. If there is any message to be taken from the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, it is this. What a fortune, a privilege, a joy it is to have had such an experience. It leaves me hopeful that as a community, as a world, there is time for us to become our greatest selves, as great as we ever could dream of in our wildest, most ambitious visions for a brighter future. Wow. Now, Stanley, that's a review. It's perfect. It's the perfect review. It's the review I've always dreamed of receiving. I have to read it again. It's simply too wonderful.
Я
I
понял.
have to experience this
Я
just
понял.
one more time. From the ashes of depravity rises the
Я
Okay,
понял.
welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again.
Да ладно, тебя слушаю, ты решил это повторять. Мне это слушать не надо. Я один раз услышал, все, понял. Повторять мне это не нужно.
I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window, or something like that.
Клаустрофобия.
Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A
Вижу
sufficiently
вентиляцию.
large crack in the
Вентиляцию,
wall?
вентиляцию,
Don't take
вижу
anything.
вентиляцию.
All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button to go anywhere other than the
Вот,
skip button.
вентиляция.
There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility
В бэкрумс попасть ты хочешь, да?
that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here.
Пытаюсь.
We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise.
Удали стену в редакторе и все.
You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Ну что, опять поэкспериментируем? Так, ну как можно заметить, он опять нас наебал. Придется воспользоваться.
Stanley,
Сам виноват, сам виноват.
It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000
Просто удали стену в редакторе. Ты же... У тебя редакторы в реальном времени.
times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again, leaving me here. And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company, for companionship. Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, no, no. I know you too well. You'll be leaving me oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion...
Ты повторяешься.
You're back. You're back. Oh my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time.
What the fuck?
Sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close.
Так, я так понимаю, следующая кнопка это пройдет год.
Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us, and I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Опять эксперимент? Не, я так думаю, что уже все, нет. Ничего не поменяется, мне кажется. Ну, давай дадим ему минуту тогда. Минутку посидим. А ты не сплери. Ну это, ну вообще да, конечно, очевидно, но минутку дадим ему сидеть. Сам виноват, что он это все замутил. Что он не мог. У него есть редактор карты в реальном времени, пока идет игра. Он может просто взять и удалить стену. Почему он не может этого сделать? А я не знаю. Он ведь теперь либо он надо мной издевается, либо я не знаю, либо он разучился пользоваться редактором карты внезапно. Ну и все, минута прошла. Давай пока. Прошел год.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity.
Так. Я сейчас себе полагаю, что скорее всего следующая кнопка уже будет целый век. Если у нас по такому принципу увеличивается время, то есть сначала это была минута, потом час, потом 12 часов, потом вроде неделя, потом год, и теперь остался век. Ну, следующее нажатие, скорее всего.
For what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its eventual arrival. If I can only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Спустя век. Или нет? Отменилось? Я так полагаю, он умер. Ну а чё? Прошел целый век. Не знаю, на каком... То есть прошел год, это получается 2023, прошел век, и сейчас получается 2123. Мне кажется, диктор уже умер. Поэтому со мной сейчас никто и не разговаривает. А вот эта вентиляция еле-еле крутится, судя по звуку. Ничего не работает. А что там вообще по часам-то? А, они уже умерли. Батарейка давно села. Забавно. Ну ладно. Так, подожди. Если прошел век, то следующее нажатие это что? Хотя может не век, подожди, стой. Может, подожди, стой. Может прошел не век, а десятилетие? Может, прошел не... Реально, потому что я как-то перескочил. Может, прошел год, потом тысячелетие. Хотя это не отменяет того факта, что диктор уже мог умереть. Но сейчас мог точно пройти век. Но сейчас век точно мог пройти. Либо сейчас прошло тысячелетие, либо прошло век. Я не знаю, что больше всего прошло. Наверное, век. Вон, часы даже упали. Наверное, до этого было тысячелетие. Но сейчас диктор уже 100% умер, скорее всего. Такое что-то здесь эта сигнализация работает. А что остается?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain
Удивительно, он не умер.
us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they...
Как они его заплатили, чтобы он доболтал и болтал? Я просто хожу, читаю это. Ужас какой. Сколько я это уже читаю?
project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes, of course. They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity and cannot help but attempt to tear me down. What a sad state of affairs. When you read these reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the bitter resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think. To feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he...
Да, наверное, повторяется. Это языки страшные. Ой, тут начинает это труба течь. Вот тут капает. Сколько времени прошло? Мне кажется, наверное, уже сейчас 3000 год. Или больше. Не, даже больше. Да, реально больше, скорее всего.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Кажется, у вас тут трубы протекают.
Is never the end, 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 is never.
Идем батон, у вас там вообще по полной программе все протекает. Жесть. Вот теперь это похоже на то, что прошло очень много времени. А это не единственный выход отсюда, который появился у нас? Или там пустота? Ни хрена там не видно. Все протекло. Вообще ничего не видно. Я так полагаю, там улица. Сейчас, я думаю, от этого места нифига не останется. О. День! Ура! Выпустите, пожалуйста, меня отсюда. Я задолбался. Я устал. Вот это реально похоже, как будто это самое... Прошло до хрена лет. Вот здесь бы я сказал, что прошло век точно. Мне это чем-то напоминает Портал, честно говоря. Второй. Оу. Что-то произошло и все кануло. А можно прыгнуть? Нельзя. Вообще вот еле-еле вижу. Чё там случилось? На улице ночь? Ни хрена не видно. Куда все растения подевались? Война произошла? Идрись. Это не очень как-то. Такое ощущение, как будто там реально какая-то война произошла. Можно быстрее отсюда уйти? Оу. Так, судя по тому, сколько раз я нажал кнопку, и каждый щелчок увеличивается, не знаю во сколько раз, оно получается сейчас увеличилось, я не знаю насколько. И какой сейчас год вообще? 2-миллиардный, 2-сексиллиардный. Так реально хрен... О. Слушай, реально. Ядрите батон. Там открытый мир. А можно кнопку еще раз нажать? Нельзя, все, наконец. Я хрен знает в каком году. И куда мне идти? Этот умер, наверное, уже точно. Реально, какой сейчас год-то? 3-сексиллиардный. 22-й. Ага. Конец.
Stanley knew the office layout like the back of his hand. It was only a matter of time before he found the others,
Ох, ядрить.
wherever they were. Just a matter of time.
The end is never the end is never the end. Все. Ключ пошел. А что, собственно, это самое произошло? А, ну, кстати, я вроде знаю, что... Ни хрена. Что оригинальную игру вроде обновляли. Там тоже был какой-то своего рода новый контент. Но здесь это, видимо, вообще по полной программе. Сейчас опять пойдем в новый контент. Тут прям такая подсветочка. В стиле синдвейва.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Давай. Покажи. Кто пойдет на этот раз? Ты обновил старое? Чего? А, это new контент наоборот. Отзеркалено. Так, ничего нету? Да мало ли. Может назад? Нет? Ну ладно. Поехали.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Oh.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Они серьезно хотят сделать вторую часть? Это кайф! Я очень надеюсь, что это не шутка. Я очень надеюсь, что это не шутка. Если они реально будут делать вторую часть, я надеюсь, что это не шутка. Я хочу вторую часть. Я очень надеюсь, что это не шутка. Хотя что-то мне подсказывает, что, возможно, это и шутка. Это вообще прикольно, если они реально анонсировали вторую часть в первой части под видом ремейка, который они сделали. И сделали такой, знаешь, анонс второй части. Блять, это охуенно. The end is never the end. Again. Stanley Parable 2. Бля, я надеюсь, что это вот... Я очень надеюсь, что это не шутка. Ну, что-то мне кажется, что это 2.
Is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Блин, скорее всего, это, наверное, шутка. Но логотип, конечно, выглядит охрененно. И вот эти все анонсы. Блин, конечно, был прикольно, если бы реально так анонсировали вторую часть. Логотип винды сзади. Только интересно, в чем будет такая вторая часть? Чё? Эти два куста. Я помню этот куст. Когда там вот эти такая песня была. Цвет красный. Это типа у вас варианты логотипа. Ну, конечно, это... А что тут вообще есть? Нет, вот это, конечно, хоть и выглядит простейшим образом, но выглядит он чертовски пафосно. Я вот серьезно говорю.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Блядь, как-то все равно уже чувствуется, что это какая-то шутка. Не, ну это, блин, скорее всего, шутка какая-то. Не будет второй части. Новые фичи. Ни хрена себе автобус. У него зайти можно? Мэн. О, рекламируйте. Да, кстати, я тоже про это, как смотрю, типа, как-то слишком заостренное внимание, кругом двойки, кругом эти зарисовки всякие, эти как его, плакаты кругом. Либо, не знаю, это реально либо какой-то рофл, либо это, не знаю, жесткий реально такой намек, намешный рофл. Ухитрись. А вот это тоже плохо выглядит.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
А, или вы хотите сказать, что я уже играю якобы во вторую часть? А вдруг реально, кстати. Новый. А в чем новая фича? Просто новый дизайн бело-красный? Эксклюзив. Кнопка, которая говорит имя и игрока, который играет в эту игру. Услышь свое имя в игре. А зачем? А я смогу сюда вернуться? Мало ли.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself,
Я так и знал.
what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Давай. Слишком большая, слишком маленькая. Это нормально. Ну давай, удиви. Ой, что-то я не думаю. Попробуй прямо здесь. Давай.
Jim,
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust.
Да, кстати,
Do
реально.
you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Всем привет, дорогие друзья, с вами Джим, и сегодня мы играем в The Stanley Parable. Так, ну мне тут выдали бета-тест The Stanley Parable 2, и я нашел такую новую фичу, называется нажми кнопку, и оно скажет твое имя. Имя играющего в эту игру. Давайте попробуем. Вау!
What a thrill,
Она сказала
what a rush,
мне
that was you.
имя!
The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Охренеть! Прикольно!
It is even
Зашибись!
harder the
Вот это
second time.
прогресс!
If this were
Охренеть,
the
как они
only
так
new feature
сделали?
in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Хочу еще.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim
Джим!
button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Блин. Хорошую кнопку убрали. Я теперь снова Даня Фарайман.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Ставик, ты немножечко угадал. Чуть-чуть. Так, сюда я пока что не буду заходить. Пожалуйста, никаких скриншотов. Чё? Ага. Ага. Так. Ага. Ага. Так. Ага. Так. Ага. Всё. Можно идти дальше. Пожалуйста, не... хорошо, я вас понял.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration.
Это все
like
было.
balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Оу. Чего?
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes.
Чё? Дай мне выбор. Я хочу еще. Зашибись. Чё? Ха, смотри, они поменяли. Смотри, они поменяли надпись. Зашибись, блин. А чё вот если реально зайти, короче, под никнеймом Джим? You heard Jim in the game. Классно, зашибись.
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Блин, ну скорее всего это все же шутка, не будет второй части. Ну ладно. А. М. Новый контент,
You
прыжки.
know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh, well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
А так ты что, не можешь не добавить еще прыжки? Я так и знал, что нужно было оставить, наверное. Бесплатное плюс бесплатное новое плюс легкое достижение. Не мог бы это было так легко. Это просто работает. Халявное достижение. Дай.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Это место мне напоминает вот другое место, забыл, как это называется.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Давай. Дай мне это достижение. Потяни сильнее за рычаг. Может его починить? Или забрать как-то? Вручную, самостоятельно. Это просто работает. Да, очень просто работает, кстати, замечательно. Стоп, что? Ага.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Что-то я не хочу пока сюда идти. Или у меня больше нет выбора, куда идти. Да, вроде есть еще. А что вот это за девушка, лол? Новый персонаж, да? Это Стэнли? What the hell?
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Зашибись. Хорошая идея, кстати. Черт, я теперь должен туда идти. К этому солнцу. Или что это? Сейчас будет скример. О, я понял. Нифига себе. Ни хрена себе. Все?
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Ну, искать я больше не знаю где. Здесь я все обрыскал, ничего не нашел. Все сюда. Это что у нас?
Here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Идея такая себе. Зачем? Не, баги здесь и сурсы не работают. А зачем мне эта бесконечная дыра? Она звуки издает. Ну ладно. Уи!
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things.
Интересно, что будет.
I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly?
Вот этими логотипами, там две палочки можно пошутить про башни-близнецы.
Infinite. If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
А можно еще раз кинуться?
Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, "Yep, that's an infinite hole that goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you.
Да подожди, я хочу
And I've had
еще.
enough of the hole for a lifetime.
Мне нравится.
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow. Okay. Yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point.
Лол.
It's more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot. How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working.
Да нет,
just a
можно
moment
просто
ago.
прыгнуть и
Try
все.
it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
Дайте мне просто возможность спрыгнуть. И все. Пожалуйста. Я не могу забраться на этот бугорок, что ли? Я могу даже это руками просто сделать. Оу. Нет, я не хочу ходить на дно. Лол. Чё это? А можно вернуть первого лица?
My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine.
Ни хрена себе. Что происходит? Что происходит? Жизнь какая? Ерор!
Stanley? 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 Oh, good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed
lol.
off there, drifting away into dreamland. But we can't have that, Stanley, because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment. So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really, truly focused on the hole? From the looks of things, you and I will have many,
Да дай мне
many
вылезти
years here in
отсюда.
this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley.
Да дай мне...
I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Дай мне вернуться на землю родную. Опять сейчас на дно. Опять сейчас мы на дно Ютуба полетим. Да? А, нет. Какая долгая загрузка.
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
Так. Джим как остался Джимом, ничего не поменялось. А, вот тут не поменяли. Секундочку. Джим. А там все еще плеер. Подожди-ка, подожди. А, кнопки нету. Понял. Классно. Эпилог. Неизвестно чего. Чего? Подожди, я там не ходил, по-моему. Мерч. Игра еще не вышла, какой мерч? Настройки. А что если... Что если сейчас опять в эту дыру вернусь сейчас? Он... Понятно. Я понял. Так, ну что у нас там за мерч? Я смотрю, этот самый QR-код. The Stanley Parable 2, я смотрю, очень сильно акцентрируется на новых фичах. Так, я сейчас этот QR-код сканирую. Мне интересно, что это такое. Если, конечно, я смогу. А он не сканируется. Как ты сканировал? У меня не сканируется. А, вот все сканировалось. Мне просто нужно было подождать. Так. Интерсайт сделали уже. А сиквел? А? Так, давай подрубим переводчик. Какой-то видос. А. Спасибо, что зашли. Наслаждайтесь остальной части выставки. Иди там всякая белиберда. Я сейчас на телефоне по-быстрому чекну, там такая белиберда реально. Жесть. Ну, в общем, я тут пока стоял, могли, в принципе, сами отсканировать и посмотреть. Так, это здесь было? Что-то я не помню. Го чекнем.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Ни хрена себе. Просто... Как будто, знаете, как этот... Как когда телефон, когда покупать новый телефон, вы отклеиваете вот эту вот пленочку. Это то же самое, только со стеклом.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body.
Ничего такого.
Can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more awaits you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Зашибись, просто вышел с ведром.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
А что дальше-то? Ну, ведро и ведро. Что с ним делать-то? Что мне с этим ведром делать? Бежать отсюда? Или что? Помогите, спасите. Что мне с этим ведром-то делать? Мне вроде никто не звонит. Почти без... Они поменяли опять здесь? Или так и было? О. Выход. Вы здесь. Выход, прыжковый круг. Ну, я только на выход, только если я вроде везде побывал. Я тоже везде побывал. То мало ли. Что-нибудь забыл еще. Вроде везде побывал. Ну все что. Мой нос.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Я не знаю, все ли я видел или не все. Оу. Здрасте. Такие текстуры мыльные. Сильно выделяются. Оу. Я так полагаю, они во вторую часть хотели добавить двух главных героев, да? Одна девушка, второй парень. Оу, щит. Как не вовремя. Ее на момент. Так, я здесь. Я только что свернул игру, увидел там достижение. Нажать на дверь 480 раз. Ой. Простите. Что я тут делаю? Выше нам нельзя. Пожалуйста, не делайте скриншотов.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work?
Вот это самая игра, которая, ну, Ультра Делюкс, вот то, что он мне объясняет, ею не является разве? Просто оригинальная игра с новыми фичами. По-моему, он сейчас это объясняет то, во что я сейчас играю.
I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Ух ты! Смотрите-ка. Ой, а у меня даже не нажимается этот. Блять, вы только вы еще только не скажите, что вся эта игра, в которой я играю, это прикрытая вторая часть. Забавно. Я столько просто куча теорий по поводу вот этого всего, то что вот этот Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe это прикрытая вторая часть. Это как, знаете, это как FNAF 6. Она называлась, типа, как там Фредди Фазберс Пицца Симулятор, а в итоге это оказалась настоящая шестая часть. Может, это здесь то же самое? Хотя не думаю. Но они еще не заморочились. Здесь даже все настройки одного и того же цвета. Давай попробуем.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
На шарики, кстати.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. and although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Сиквел на паузе. Капец они заморочились, чтобы поменять целое меню в стиле второй части. Сиквел на паузе. А что если я закроюсь?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Что? Чего? Я что-то...
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Стэнли взял ведро. Хорошо, я взял ведро. Я выключил компьютера. Это зачем здесь? Нового контента нет.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Попробуем идти так, как он говорит.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy is as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet.
Нет, это мое ведро. Мое ведро, мое ведро.
It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies.
Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulder. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Что? О!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Я раньше помню, что это раньше было закрыто. Ага.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always.
Что там у тебя?
The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Оно... Ведро знало пароль. Да-да. О!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines?
Стануэтка.
Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Стануэтка. Ну, кстати, по поводу снега. По поводу снега. Они его не уберут, потому что он был сегодня. Сегодня был снег, значит, он еще может идти. Уберут в июне, короче.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Можно наверх? По-моему, раньше нельзя было наверх. Ладно, сейчас я буду идти строго по сюжету.
Walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, but of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Стэнли... Ведро с... Не могу просто. Так, я тут знаю секреточку. Надеюсь, она здесь заработает.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
Опа.
Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that...
Подожди, 427, где она? Вот он, 427. Ну-ка. Да, правда, вот он. Так. Уволен. Вот что там за лаги какие-то? Уволен.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Так, сейчас попробуем секреточку включить, которую я помню. Нужно подождать, когда откроются вот эти ворота. Если, конечно, в этой версии они вообще откроются. Но я надеюсь, что они перенесли эту. Ну, все фичи. О, да, перенесли. Сейчас зачекаем. Они его улучшили немножечко.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except
А чё лампа не работает?
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place.
Сейчас они вот тут дверь
As the
открыли.
cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
И
For
ведрами.
he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They
Stanley и
high-fived
ведро.
in a really cool way, and the bucket
Дали
made
друг
a
другу
sassy
5.
comment about taking down the system.
Жесть. Просто...
Stanley and the bucket waited impatiently.
Стэнли и ведро, блин.
Was it over?
Я не могу.
Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Нет, в смысле?
Unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No, no, no. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness
Ну, вообще, пока ты там стоял, ты мог его там перекинуть.
isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Сейчас начну сначала с ведром, нет?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ага. Теперь мне постоянно могут дать вот это ведро. Да. Да. Кстати, там есть что-нибудь? Люди ответили? Че ответил? Жесть. Ну, все равно кто-то быстрее это выйдет. Либо Сумтранзит, либо Метрострой в Сэндбокс. Я не говорю именно прям портировать полностью. Найдется человек, который решится на это все же, рано или поздно. И этим самым переносить, конечно, полностью, прям копировать все из Метростроя вряд ли будет. Он, скорее всего, будет делать заново. Возможно. Хотя хрен его знает. Ладно, тогда, надеюсь, тут все сохраняется. Вот эта менюшка тоже, надеюсь, сохранится. Потому что, ну, я начал рано, и примерно на этом моменте я уже должен был закончить, примерно. Если бы я начал в 17. Ладно, тогда всем спасибо за просмотр, всем спасибо, кто был на стриме. Встретимся в следующий раз.